Right, it says it's recording, so welcome everybody to your jury roundtable. We'll see if we have people joining in later as well, but right now, all of you lovely people are great, and you can say whatever you would like here. We have here Mikey, who is our runner-up from season one, who will be running the roundtable. I do want to say beforehand, this is a game. Let's keep things respectful. Any personal digs, I'm sure either Mikey, Jacob, and I will intervene and be like, please keep that personal shit out. We don't need it. So yeah, I'm gonna throw this over to Mikey.
All right, friends, welcome. So I am mostly just here to facilitate. I'm not going to be doing too much discussion with you. I'll ask questions as I see fit, but this is your guys' time to figure out who the heck to vote for. Obviously, we still have a final three, so we don't know exactly who's going to be sitting there in the end, but I want y'all to have the space to discuss whatever you feel you need to. So if there's anybody that wants to open anything up, I'll leave that for you. If not, I'll figure out some questions for you as we go along.
I can start. I've already said this in the jury chat, but I think each of the final three, at least, have excelled in one of the three areas of the game. I think Denson's played a stellar social game, but I don't know what he's done strategically, really, and that's what I want from him at FGC. I want him to tell me what he's done, what move part in or orchestrated. Nick, I feel, has been more the strategic mindset. He has been behind the scenes, pulling the puppet strings, whereas Maine has been more the physical minor, sorry, and has won by far the most competitions, had the most power in the game. But for me anyway, and a few others from what I hear, his jury management isn't great. And he seems very cowardly in his actions when it comes to the people that he puts up on the block, speaking to them afterwards. So I think I need each of them to tell me how they feel they've done in the other areas of the game. Really, but no, it's going to be an interesting one.
Anybody else want to comment on that?
So we're done. Bye, guys.
Crickets.
All right. So out of my own curiosity, do you guys have any thoughts about who might be joining you in the jury?
Probably gonna be Denson.
I agree, Denson.
Yeah, I think.
Which I won't respect, but go off.
I think that with Minor and Nick, they had a crutch of having four people from the same prod team who were actively protecting each other to at least final nine, as far as I was aware, which I think is a bit of a handicap, which gave them an unfair advantage. So if it goes to the end, I won't really be that happy with either winner because I feel having an advantage come into a game and being cast with three other people from your prod team gives you a way too much of an advantage. Whereas Denson,
it was a disadvantage for me.
You were unlucky. But also they knew they needed to cut one of you soon, otherwise everyone would be after them.
Yeah.
Because they knew that, and they knew that they wouldn't be respected at all if the four of you made the final four. But anyway, yeah, I feel they had a huge handicap, which didn't have. Denson worked his ass off, as far as I'm aware, from speaking to people, try to make those connections from scratch, make sure that he was wanted around by people, and he didn't have those prod connections which the other two had.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then why don't we kind of move on and start talking about each of the final three kind of individually? Why don't we go through like the pros and cons of each of them, what you might need to hear from one of them at at the finale in order to get their vote. So why don't we start with Minor?
I need him to explain to me, especially personally, from when it came to especially when it came to the day I was voted off and the night before when he put me up as a back door, he just barely responded to me, if not didn't respond to me at all, just left me on red, which I think is quite disrespectful, and I think that's bad jury management, especially when the day before he was trying to make an alliance with me, which is all fine as part of the game, but at least own your shit rather than stay quiet and be a coward, which I think that's how he acted.
I had something with Minor round. I think I want to say it was round 3 when Nick was like HOH and it was like really chaotic because I went to Minor already going after like my opinions on Nick, and he was like, yeah, I'm a pretty like simple person, whatever. So we like bonded on that. So like live night obviously was very emotional because like I'm a person, when I like connect with somebody personally, I don't want to take them out of the game because like my personal overrides like their threat level, which worked to his benefit because he clearly comp won back to back. So I think that benefited for me. Seeing Minor at the end, I still like, I love him as a person. I feel like it's deserved in a lot of ways, because he was in power, and like I would have been out pre-merge. And if he's sitting next to Nick, I don't feel like Minor necessarily lied to me on a consistent basis, but I know it's different for other people. So
I once said in a confessional, and Heather can quote me on this, if you could take out any player without any consequence, I said Minor. And I hit the nail right on the head because he had connections with everybody from what I'm hearing. He had final twos with so many people, or at least final threes. Dents, Morgan, Lyndon, Billy, Nick. I wanted to cut him, believe it or not, but I just never had the opportunity. But I feel like he's got my vote if he's against Denson, unless he flounders my question.
I think if we're looking at like the pros of Minor, Minor from the get-go showed that Minor was a comp threat. And in that kind of theme, you have to be like just kind of flabbergasted that people didn't take shots at Minor earlier. Like the first shot at Minor was live night, and that was me. And because I knew that if Minor at that point got further, Minor was going to comp out, and that's exactly what happened. So Minor, the two good things I have to say about Minor's game is the ability to win comps, and then the ability to negate a very obvious threat level with enough people that they didn't target him. Like it seemed like I put him up live night, and when he was up on the block, final 6, I'm the only one that voted for him. And if he gets to the end, that kind of makes me want him to win because Jesus, like y'all had your shots and y'all didn't take it. And I'm not talking about anybody on this call, but I'm more talking about the two that are still in, Denson and Nick. However, where that's a great thing for Minor's game, Sam kind of touched on it. Minor was awful with how he interacted with several people and enough people on the jury that it's going to be interesting to see. Like, I know a lot of people like Minor, but Minor tried to set something up with Sam and then left him on red, didn't talk to him. Minor at several points in the game, especially once it became evident that Morgan was going out, said, hey, final 3, you, me, and Nick, let's do this. And then the next thing that he does is vote me out with Denson, which there's no need at that point because like, why? You don't have to lie at that point. So it's one of those things where I feel like Minor wrote a lot of checks this season and couldn't cash a lot of them. And it's I think that if there's anybody that overlooks the good of Minor's game, it's very easy to pettily think about the bad, which was jury management and just really in comparison to everything else, what I would say would be a subpar social game, in my personal opinion. There's some people obviously that are going to feel really good about Minor, but then there's a lot of people that are just going to be like, Minor kind of did me dirty. Like with Nick, you knew you were going to get that, but Minor's supposed to be like
Yeah.
the opposite. So
Yeah.
I think whenever I renom, so like it was between him and Denson that I was gonna renom, and everybody like I wanted to renom Minor, but then I got on a call with him, and it's just like maybe I'm just very like emotional because he was just talking to me, and I immediately was like, okay, no, I'm not nomming you. Like I can't do that to you. Like we have like a good thing going, whatever. And then when it came to renoms, I got on call with Nick, and Nick was basically like, if you nom Denson, Denson goes, but if you nom Minor, Billy goes. And at that point, I like could not chance Denson going home because I didn't have a relationship with Billy. So if I put Minor up, like it was like a toss up of like I told information to Denson about something that Minor said, and he let like I mean, what Billy said is like he went to bed that night wanting to vote out Minor, and then when he woke up, he wanted to vote out Minor, and then something changed throughout the day to where he changed his vote to Billy, and it's like I don't know.
again, that's negating that threat level. Like Minor had a really good ability. Like we all knew Minor was good. Like Minor was, in my opinion, the star of the season, kind of from the get go, winning the first HOH and the power of veto, and then winning like not long after that, and just a great social standing, especially pre jury. So like at that last part, it would have been very easy for somebody to take a shot and then that to fall, but it never happened because he had such a good, I
Yeah.
guess, like innocent face that people let him off the hook.
Also, in the same vein, people were constantly talking behind the scenes, wanting to get one of the EXP people out, but they were worried about that because by the time people realised and got onto it, you guys were like a third of the cast, almost half of the cast, and it was too much of an army to at that point.
Listen, I wanted Nick out on the fucking second week.
I wasn't around that
Like,
week.
but everybody felt good with Nick Mana, who fucking pulls out shit from his ass, and I'm just like, fuck. I just lost my bracelet. Like he like everybody knew. Like I would talk to people and be like, "Yeah, Nick lies about everything," and they're like, "Yeah, but I feel really good with him." And it's like, bruh, you're like saying two opposite things in the same sentence. But
people were worried that if you went for one of them, then one of the EXP people,
yeah.
then all four of them will come after you. Plus, they're people that they're close with, and then it would be like game over for you. So people were scared to that because of the fact that there was all this pre-made coming into the game, which they had an understanding that. And Joe, please correct me if I'm wrong, that you were going to protect each other to at least final 9. Nick told me as much. Am I wrong, Joe?
What?
Am I wrong in that?
That y'all had an agreement to protect each other until final what, 9?
Yeah, 9 at the very least. That's what Nick said to me anyway.
Honestly, probably, but I was ready to make moves my own. I just didn't really have like the connections those two did to really do much damage. So
Yeah. I mean, I remember talking to Topher at the beginning, and because I was added to the Xferno chat and I barely talked to any of these people. And I was like, oh, well, what if I win HOH and I want to go after one of them because there's 4 of them? And Topher was just like, I don't really think that's a good idea. It's too early in the game. And I'm like, there's literally 4 of them. Like the more we keep, and then whenever it was Survivor week, and Alex had sent that message saying he basically got voted out because he like was going to be going after EXP. It's like kind of what you said, Sam, is like we were realizing it a little too late, and then that's where their momentum picked up.
Alex didn't go after EXP that week.
Oh, what he said in that message?
Yeah, Alex and Austin were the 2 votes for me.
Yeah, and that wasn't what Alex wanted though. Alex wanted to go after EXP, but then he couldn't get the other option.
He'd already the last round though.
Pardon?
He'd already voted me the last round though. I can understand it, but it was like I feel like it was kind of like a cop-out move where at that point he should have been coming to me, not letting me fall into oh, I'm the name, and then getting quote unquote saved by Nick at the last minute.
Totally fair. But no, yeah, I think if it wasn't for all 4 of them being there, the game would have ended up being a lot different, I think.
Absolutely.
It sounds like the conversation is moving a little bit over towards Nick. So why don't we talk about the pros and cons of Nick?
I
Me?
think I just want to say I think a lot of people dislike how Nick played the game. I still think there needs to be a Nick in every game because I have to give him credit. He did not have a lot of capital other than lying his ass off at every instance. And then when he needed to, making somebody feel incredibly safe with him and then getting a couple weeks of agency with them. Like, for instance, for me, we were just talking about the Survivor round. Like, I don't come back, I feel, without Nick, Lyndon, and Kevin flipping on Alex. That was a big thing for me in the game. And so at the next point, I feel like I owe him at least 1 to 2 weeks.
Yeah, but he did that on purpose. He literally
Yeah, I
was
know he
like
did because he's smart.
yeah, but no. Like
It is smart.
when Kevin was on the block, he was like, I'm gonna make it seem like I want to save Kevin. And I'm like, but you're not. Like, you're not the person that wants to save Kevin here. But like, you want to make somebody feel safe with you, which I had gotten on a call with Kevin. Hi, Kevin, welcome. And I
Oh, hi.
and
What a way to what an amazing way to join. Like that was like right on cue.
I had gone on a call with Kevin and I said,
Pros and cons right now.
Nick really wants you out, but he's going to make it seem like he's trying to protect you and he's getting the votes. And Kevin was like, yeah, I feel really good with him. And I'm like, hi.
But
Yeah,
Bestie,
he definitely manipulated me a lot and made me feel like I was like on his side and things like that. And like honestly, props to him because like I definitely feel like he was somebody that, yeah, I did very much feel good with. Like his HOH, even though he put me up, he was like, this person is saving you. I'm like, okay, I guess Nick's with me. So when you told me that, I was like, okay, but I don't know if that's actually what he's doing. But now hearing what I have, yeah, he definitely misted me, and props to him for that.
Yeah, he made me feel really safe with him. Me and him have history from previous game where we were dead against each other, but he made me really believe that he was with me, and that was a good thing. Even right to the end, he was like, I'll pity vote for you, it's fine." And no, it's fine.
No, I'm sorry, I'm bitter.
I mean,
I just don't like being lied to. And then also,
Oh, yeah.
Dan's telling me one thing, Jeff's telling me the same exact thing. And then I get a message from him 20 minutes before the vote saying, hey, bestie, I don't want to blindside you. And I'm like, honey, it wouldn't have been a blindside. Like, I already knew what you were doing. But like, while I'm about to go out, like, you're not going to mend whatever lies that you were transpiring, which I had a different experience than everybody else. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. There's no pros for me.
I mean, my bias has been pretty prominent in the jury chat, so I'll keep it short and sweet. Nick was my final 2 and my bestie, so I kind of
He was everyone's final 2, Joe.
No, he and I talked a lot. Like
Yeah. He talked a lot with Denton. He talked a lot with me. He had a final 2
He
with both
leaked
of us.
a lot of info about every alliance to me.
He had 15 final 2s.
No, he definitely was close with Joe because he would go and call me and be like, "Yeah, Joe loves you. Get close to Joe." I'm like, "Okay."
yeah,
He does say that to me, to be fair. But no, he did have lots of final 2s. He had final 2s when it
I
was
was
convenient.
also in that whole EXP conundrum, so I kind of had that.
Yeah, I can believe that.
I definitely will give Joe like the roses. The amount of hoops Nick was trying to go through to save you at your when you were up on the thing was like, which ultimately, no offense, kind of was your downfall because like Sam said, he had a lot of people that he promised like final 2s with. So knowing how close y'all were, it just left the door open for like one of those other situations. And it also weakened his game. And I'm a big fan. I'm not a big fan of necessarily how he did it, but I'm a of how his gameplay went because we all know he's the villain of the season. We know it. It's obvious.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's never been a more sure thing in the history of the world. Don't
Jason.
Are you
Jason.
sure?
It's Jason? Okay.
Jason's villain of the season with that chat he made.
Jason did so much. Come on. Revolution, let's go.
But the thing about it was if we all knew that and then so few people were, he got pulled down by Denson when he should have gone out. He won himself when he should have gone out. There's just so many times where like he got through by really just
Honestly,
yeah.
the veto use was the only time, and then him winning veto himself were the only opportunities that he was saved, because the week I was HOH, he literally couldn't be nommed. And
Yeah.
then the next time was when Denson saved him, which Denson and him have a prior, like they've worked together in previous games. So like to underestimate that relationship, of course that was going to happen now that I think about it.
Yeah.
And then the next opportunity he saved veto on a veto that was a fucking not even it was like a shot in the dark. Like it was like 100% by luck. So it wasn't like he really had to like strategically think through that competition. It really was just a
To
luck.
be though, luck is a part of the game that you have to take into consideration.
Oh, it is.
I 100% understand that you and Nick will probably never be pen pals. Y'all will probably never chit chat after the season. And if you do, it probably won't be pretty. And I get that. And honestly, I see where you're coming from, because it was a manipulative, it was a dirty game. Like not dirty like cheating or anything, but dirty and just like really messy. But at the same time, well, yeah, but the reason is that he's in Final 3 and he's playing for Final HOH. So
I understand, but like even when it starts from the beginning of round 2 and you're creating lies, I don't know. I just for me, so I'll stop talking about it because clearly I'm very set in stone with my opinion, and we'll move on to the next.
Well, I was just saying, he tried to backdoor me round 3, and I know that because you told me, and I knew that that was a thing that was going to happen. And yet, at the end of the day, like there were times where, besides you and besides like Billy and Denson, that was the only person that I felt like I could be safe with, which is crazy to me because I don't trust Nick Mana at all. And yet there were times in the game where I didn't feel comfortable with but like 3 or 4 people, and he was on that short list. But then I would make trust lists and he would be at the bottom. So it was just really weird. And I have to give him credit because he had the little bit of manipulative actions where you sit there and you're like, there's no way that I'm going to listen to anything that this guy says. And he says, "Good morning, King. I'm really hoping you pull through today." And you're just like, well, damn, he's in my corner, I guess. So it just,
it's fake.
Yeah. But it works though.
It
I know, but you're biased.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it real quick. Like, yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying, Jeff, because like I very much came into the game like knowing exactly how Nick plays, and it's like I don't trust him whatsoever. I know he's just gonna bullshit me, and yet somehow from week 3 on, I was like, I actually trust Nick a lot. So it works. It works.
Y'all need to have more little awareness of people's bullshit. I've never played with Nick, and he would send me a paragraph, and my response would be not true, but go off.
Yeah.
Well, I heard you said this, not true. But if you're really passionate about this paragraph that you just typed me, keep sending them. Like, because I just whatever.
Listen, maybe I just have bad reads. You know, it could just be that.
I mean, my reads were fucking garbage this season. I won't deny that. But Nick, all I know is Nick and I talked a whole lot, so my bias is clear. I'm not going to deny it.
Yeah, we have polar opposites, which I think is a wonderful representation of how Nick Mana plays the game, where you have 2 people to call who one cannot stop singing his praises and the other one cannot stop wishing his downfall. But it's a part of the game. You have to have a Russell Hands. You have to have that person, and I think that he fits that role really well. Like it's just for me, like I'm not discrediting how he played, even if it's a way that I would never ever play myself.
Yeah, I guess. Just keep it moving. I mean, I haven't played a lot of games, but this is my first experience, and I would never want to experience it again. And I've had other great experiences in games with people who don't play like that. So
it's definitely not how I would play, but
it's not how I would play, and it's not like I've never been in a cast with a person like that. So like I don't necessarily think a game needs to have a person like that. So to say that is a little
Morgan, I'm a bit confused. So you're voting for Nick, yeah? Cool.
Yeah, my vote is like 100%.
Morgan's the most pro Nick over here.
I was getting that vibe. I wasn't sure.
Morgan's as pro Nick as I am anti Nick.
There you go.
Yeah.
Having played.
Let's talk about Denson. I want to move on to Denson.
I was just about to say, it sounds like we've covered a good amount of Nick's game. If we want to move on over to Denson.
I love him, but I got a bone to pick with him.
Same.
What are your bones?
What's that bone?
I mean, obviously he nominated me, but I knew that was coming. But the whole thing about, and I'm pretty sure there was some ulterior motive. I'm pretty sure, but the bullshit I got from him was, I want to get a member of EXP, and given how that HH comp went, I was the first eliminated. I kind of knew I was in a sticky situation, so I was told I'm gonna go up against Austin. Austin's supposed to be the one going. He wins veto. But what I hear next is he tells Nick and Minor that he's not going to nominate them. But then I'm thinking, if this whole I tease act T, but I'm thinking, if your whole goal is to get an EXP member out, why waste your time on me, who's practically irrelevant, and not the two guys that are in the final final three?
I
He
forgot
was
that
he was
Yeah,
close
I
with
didn't
them.
understand that either.
You know,
I
he
forgot that
had a
that
close alliance with both Minor and with Nick.
didn't
Whereas,
he renommed Lyndon, right?
yeah,
Yeah, which I
Because
still don't get.
he got on call with me and was like, I'm not nomming you, even though everybody wants me to. I'm gonna get on call with Lyndon right now. And then I was like, I thought it was an EXP week. Like, I was like, are you gonna chance that and not renom an EXP person? He's like, well, and I was like,
If
I should have
Kevin was
known.
not in the ghost, then I had a shot.
Oh no, literally, I would have played my extra vote in a heartbeat. I'm not gonna lie.
That's my thing with Denson. Like, Sam has alluded to the social game that Denson had to play, not being in the EXP and not having a ton of capital with competition wins and stuff like that. But I think for the social game aspect of it, it's a double-edged sword, because sure, I would say Denson definitely made deals with the devil in this game, and it worked out really well for him. But at the same time, using the whole hell analogy, there's a lot of fire there, and I think a lot of bridges got burned. You know, even knowing full well that I was going to be the next person voted out, Denson still messaged me, the day of, we definitely, like, final three is between us and all this other stuff. And I'm trying, part of the reason why I'm being so hard on Denson is because I don't want to get blinded by the fact that he said that this is his last game and he's retiring. And you know, I can't say that I've heard that before, but still it's something that's kind of like at the forefront of my mind, where if he gets it, hey, maybe he goes out on a win, and that's a good thing for everybody. But in terms of like the social game aspect, he had both the strongest and I think the negative aspect of it. Strongest in the beginning, and then like as people started to leave, I felt like there were a couple people that he did kind of dirty because of the fact that he was strong.
Well, I think
yeah.
the veto use was like the biggest blind side for me, because
I was shocked.
So like obviously we were playing two games at the same time and we worked very closely together in both games. And so when he used that veto, and obviously it was emotional and it was a lot to process, whatever, he got into a room with me and he said, nobody knows about your swap a vote, use it on me, I promise, like I'm not going to say anything, but use it on me. But like I get confused in Big Brother games. When you tell me that you're voting Kevin, I'm like, are you voting to save Kevin? Are you voting to evict Kevin? Like I need it to say in a full sentence, because I don't really know what you're saying. And so when he was like, use your swap a vote on me, I was so confused. But then Austin hopped off and he was like, Morgan, check your messages, I gave you something. And then when he used that veto, I was literally stunned. I was like, oh my gosh. And I don't know why that wasn't like the biggest like stamp of like, he is with Nick and Minor.
I just want to say though, I'm genuinely confused. Like, even if he was close with Nick and Minor at 10, why didn't he make the move at 6 when Minor was on the block?
Because it's a good question.
Who was on the block next to Minor at 6?
It was
Billy.
I think from what I knew based on when I was in the game, he felt he could trust Minor, and he didn't feel he could trust Billy. He thought Billy.
Yeah, and Denson was like, what do you want me to do here? And like, I mean, Jeff asked me the same thing, which I did tell, like, because wasn't it my HOH? And I was just like, just because it's my HOH, like it's y'all's games. Like I have I wanted Nick to go. So whenever other people start getting into the mixture, I'm like, I don't know what I want now, because what I wanted is no longer an option. So now I have to process what my options are. But like so I told him, I forgot what I messaged him. Oh, because Minor was on a call with me, and it was whenever I was like debating on who I was supposed to renom. And I told Denson, I was like, hey, because I usually go mute when I find some information out. So like I messaged Denson, I was like, can I talk to you real quick? Hop on a call. And I said, Minor says that you want me and Jeff out next. Is that true? And he goes like, which I know it's a game and I'm still learning. So he was like, no, like that makes me mad. I'm voting him out. That information is so not true. Like, da 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 da. And I was like, well, even if it, like, I know you have to say what you need to say to whoever to feel good with them. So regardless if it's true or not, like, and then the next day when he changed it to Billy, voting out Billy, I obviously they had a deal, but how he perceived it to me, and I wish Billy was here, is that Billy, Nick, and Minor and Lyndon had a chat. Lyndon got voted out, so then the three of them had a chat. And the way that they presented information to Denson was like, oh, in our chat, we talked about blah, 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 blah. We want to let you know, like talking to Denson. So I don't know if Denson was actually in that chat. I don't know.
No, he wasn't. Billy said in the jury chat before he wasn't.
Yeah, something I want to give props to Andrew right off the bat is that I was very much, and I feel like a lot of us were trying to play like the middle with like the EXP, and things like that. And I was very much trying to play that game where it's like I had EXP in my corner, but then I also had like Jeff, and I was getting closer to Morgan and things like that. And he did that better than I think all of us were, because I think he was in a position where he could kind of just go with whoever because he had their trust in that way. And it's mainly due to like, even though it was crazy to me what he did on the double and things like that. Now Nick and Minor have a reason to keep him around because it's like, okay, he's going to save one of us. And I think he just did a really good job of positioning himself there. There are some things I'm a little confused, but I still don't know why he put Lyndon up and sacrificed the vote, potentially flipping on her if someone wanted to. But I think for the most part, I think his game makes a lot of sense. And I think that the fact that especially he's still there when you have someone like Nick and Minor, who everybody knew were working together, and the fact that he's still there and they could potentially take him, I think that is impressive.
Yeah, that's like where I was confused talking to Denson, because everybody was hyper fixating on me and Jeff. Like every morning or every afternoon, he would be like, well, there's still that obvious duo. And I'm like, who? And he's like, well, you and Jeff. And I was like, me and Jeff just met. Like we just met. And I think Minor and Nick did very good at, like, Nick tried to make moves against Minor to make it look like he wasn't as close with Minor. So on my side, I feel like he was trying to like get the vote to keep you and get Minor out, which I didn't know until like after the night and I started talking to people. But it's like that makes it, because every time I mentioned that, Denson was like, well, they've wanted each other out. So how are they such a strong duo? You and Jeff have actually blah, 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 blah. So I think that's how they got to the end, by doing that, by making it seem like they would make a move against each other, but they just never did.
Yeah.
I gotta say,
that's how I felt about that's how I felt that way too, because to me it seemed like it was like Nick and Austin were gunning for each other and they weren't coming for Minor. So it was like, yeah, they did that well.
For a duo that just met, you two were very successful. So we had our reasons to like say what we needed to.
I just
Thanks.
Yeah, I just like did not. I felt like that was what I told Denson, was like me and Jeff were like the shield for their duo because I used the veto and I did this and I did that, to which like I commend them, because literally and not that I don't know if they're IRLs or whatever, but they're on prod together and they're super close. So it's like to not underestimate that kind of bond and focus on people that just met in the game was weird, but I mean it worked out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. My funniest thing about that is that at a certain point in the game, Morgan and I just got freaking tired of hearing what a duo we were. So we were like, well, if people are just saying it at the end of the day, we might as well buy into it. So thanks for making a new friend for me, because that happened because of everybody assuming that we were just this stone cold duo.
No, that literally is how it worked. Like I kept telling people, like, if we keep harping on the EXP thing, they're gonna end up working together. And well, that same happened with Jeff and Morgan.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to work with Jeff and Morgan, but like
I know it sucks because I'm like, so anyways, we can talk about this at the reunion. So
We did. Yeah.
We're like getting sidetracked. I will be very impressed if Denson makes it to the end. And I think that like I will respect whoever wins part 2. If they take Denson, I feel like they will move up a notch by cutting
Agreed.
one
Part
out.
3.
If they
Yeah.
take each other, I will have I will have very little respect because it's like kind of expected.
Hmm.
That's where
But
I'm
I mean, I expect. Well, I don't know. I thought that Miner would probably just take Nick, but Miner also told me that he was going to take me to final 3. So I don't even know if Miner
Miner
knows
says
what
a
he's
lot.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Miner knows what he wants to do until Nick tells him what he should do. So like
Yeah.
But then doesn't that invalidate a lot of Miner's game?
no, yeah, 100%.
Have we talked about Miner's game already?
We
Yeah,
did. You came in after
Okay.
that.
But if you have anything to
Yeah, I was gonna chime in with that real quick and just say, like, I think Miner, the one thing that was really frustrating to me about Miner is that I would get on call with him and he'd be like, okay, I want to hear your like suggestions for HOH and things like that. And I would give him suggestions and he wouldn't say a goddamn thing about it. So it was very hard to read him in the game. And now hearing that basically he just did what Nick told him to do, I mean, it checks out because it just seemed like he didn't really know what he wanted to do in the game. So
but like with that, I don't think it's necessarily Nick told him and he did it because like the only point I can make is that like I would have been gone way early.
yeah, that's true.
The whole Topher thing, I didn't even know until like 2 minutes before the HOH.
Yeah.
Nick was like, "Oh, me and Austin told him to put up Topher and Jeff." So that's how that transpired, from what I've got.
The way that I wanted to be at final 2 and just play I'm a Survivor and just talk about my Taylor Hale era, because Jesus Christ, people were pressed to put me up and I was so sad this whole season.
Jeff, if you were in final 2, you would have had my vote.
Oh, you would have won.
I love you
You
so
would have won.
much. I love all of y'all.
I respected that arc so much.
It was a sad one.
Nick, but
I want you to understand how many times I told people I'm just tired. Like I'm
Yep.
so just sick and tired of like being in this position. And that's why Miner and I have personal beef. So not personal beef. I'm just kidding. It's a game. I'm just kidding.
I know I've said my piece about Denson, but he's not completely out of the running for my vote. If he
Sure.
what
I just need more strategy talk from him.
then I'll
I don't know what he did strategically, but he
I'll
was the
just
first.
tell.
I think he was the first to actually have the balls to actually go for EXP, which I think is commendable because everyone else was running scared at that point.
Yeah, you say that, and then he renoms Linden. So
Yeah.
But he went for the 2 that he wasn't working with.
which would be like when I was looking at EXP, like at the time I didn't have a strong relationship with Joe, and I didn't have a strong relationship with Nick. So it's like I feel like I don't know. Now that I'm like looking back at it, I'm like, oh, there were such obvious signs that Denson was with them.
Mm-hmm.
And we just were blind. At least I was.
Yeah. I think it was like you had everyone who wasn't an EXP trying to go for EXP, and then everyone who was an EXP was trying to go for like you and Jeff and things like that, and nobody was thinking about Denson. And now here he is.
I would have put up Denton and Morgan had I won that Blues Clues one.
I'm just really upset you protected Nick on the ghost zone.
Okay, I just want to say this since we're going on that. I was teetering, and I think Kevin can quote me on this. I told him
You did tell me this. You did.
like, I'm either gonna save Nick or I'm gonna save Morgan. Since everyone wants to protect Morgan, I'm gonna do it too.
You should have.
It would have been so funny if you did that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I
wouldn't
got
have
my
won that
way.
HOH. That would
I
have
got
been
my
fun.
way. She won HOH, so
You have been safe either way.
Yeah,
got
Kevin,
the
I would
best of
have
both
Kevin, I
worlds.
would have saved you or Denson, but then I thought then on HOH, so I'm glad I didn't save him.
Yeah. Well, maybe
Um,
Joe would have still been there if you didn't save me.
So, like,
Oh, yeah.
y'all are saying that Denson didn't have good jury management, or you're saying that he like what's the overall opinion?
I think,
I think-
he had the best jury management of the 3, personally.
Yeah.
I agree.
Truthfully, though, that's not saying much. Let's just be honest.
But he made the effort with people and actually most people left feeling good about him.
That's what I was saying though in the beginning, is that he worked harder to make people feel more comfortable around him.
Mhm.
But then I think that on the flip side of that, when people left, he was not as good. Now, granted, he wasn't as bad as say Minor, and he wasn't as snaky as say Nick, but I'm not going to discredit his social game. I think he was without a doubt the strongest social player in the game in the final three. It's not even a question. I just think that also brings to some point where I'm just like, at what point could you trust what he was saying? Because he was always going to be with Nick and Minor. So I feel like a lot of the stuff he said to people.
That's fair. But in the game, you can't get this far.
You have to though. Exactly. I'm not discrediting him.
I think like also with Minor telling you about the final three or whatever was in the off chance that you had to win veto, and he was like making that insurance. You know what I mean?
For me?
Like when he said, like, did he say that before the veto win, or did he say that after he won veto?
He said that before you were eliminated.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is he said that to you as an insurance, just in case it was in the power was in your hands to not to evict him.
Sure. Well, I was gonna evict him anyway.
I know, but I'm just that was probably his reasoning.
Yeah, but I mean, it was no secret. My two targets.
Mike, you're trying so hard to
were
talk.
Nick and Minor.
Oh no, I'm just playing with my hair because I got a little.
Keeps you muting, unmuting, or like.
No, it's okay. I want to just pop in really quick. It sounds like we've gotten a good, like at least like lowdown on all three games separately. So I want to know from you guys like what you would want to hear from each of them specifically in their finale speeches to earn their vote. What would either send them over the top for you and completely earn your vote, or conversely, if they don't do something or they say something the wrong way, what would lose their vote?
So far, Minor is the person that's least likely to get my vote. If you can give me a good game reason why he basically ignored me in my last day of the game, and then he might have a chance. If you can't give me a good game reason for that, then he has no shot. Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were finished.
No, I was just saying, Denson needs to talk other things and actually what moves he had a say in, because it feels like Nick was pretty much telling everyone what to do and pulling all the strings in the game. That's what it seems like from an outsider. But I need Denson to tell me more about his moves. I don't really know about Nick. It just depends how he sells himself.
Seeing as how I could have easily survived had Minor helped me in that last minute ditch effort, I want to know why he couldn't do at least one round, or just ask him if he made any moves without like Nick giving him game advice. I also want to know the real story behind Denson's HOH. That's it.
That's what I was gonna say too. Like, I want if it comes to Minor, like I want to know like what did you do separately that Nick didn't like without Nick's encouragement? Was there something that you wanted to do that you didn't tell Nick about? You know, what other deals did you have that Nick didn't know about? Like, I just want to see like where his game differentiates from Nick, because just from hearing what everyone's saying, like it's very hard to tell. It feels like Nick was like the one pretty much like, you know, he was doing all the strategic work, and then Minor was like kind of getting the blood on his hands like for him. So I kind of want to know like what was really going on there. And then I think with Denson, I just really want to know like when did you decide to target like the people that you decided to target? Because, you know, you were in the middle and things like that. Like, why did you decide to, you know, work with EXP and whatnot? Like, I want to know a little bit more about some of the things he did.
I do want to say on the topic of Minor, I feel like we have a whole different perception that we aren't getting since Billy and Lyndon aren't here.
Yeah.
Because they were really close with him.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And he definitely did work with them, because Billy would literally tell me on call, like, yeah, Minor and Nick are the people I'm working the closest with. So which incentivized me to stick with them because I trusted Billy.
What did you say?
I said, did you want to go about what you needed to hear?
Honey, I'm in my bitter phase right now. So I don't have. I'm listening.
Okay, for me, my biggest concern about if Minor goes is Minor's ability to articulate his game and what he did, because in the situations in which Minor had to talk to us and explain, I didn't feel comfortable with what he was saying. So I think that one of the biggest obstacles for Minor is going to be Minor. And I'm concerned about that. That is not a dig at Minor in any way, shape, or form. That's just something I noticed throughout the season. What I want to hear from Minor is kind of similar to what everyone said. What did he do by himself? Besides winning the comps, because we do have to give him the credit for that. And I know at one point Sam was saying comps don't make a winner, but it's kind of hard to vote somebody out when they're safe half the season, because he did win more comps than anyone else, and it's not even remotely close. So when you're safe more than half the season off of your comp wins, that's something that you have to take into consideration. But I do kind of want to see what it was that he did on his own from a strategy point, and I also just want to know why he where his thought process was on some of the ways that he treated people on their exits. Obviously, ghosting Sam, giving me a false sense of security at Final Four when there's absolutely no need to do something like that. It's just kind of silly. Honestly, I just want to hear Nick be devious. That's like what I expect from him. So that's what I want to hear. I want to hear, I guess, really, I want to hear, this is going to be the hardest thing for him. I want to hear the truth on a lot of situations, on what he had agency over and what he didn't. Because from what I'm understanding, he's telling people, oh, I want to save you, but he wasn't, so on and so forth. And then if Denson gets there, kind of similar. I want to know when the EXP coming into the fold with those two was, and how long he's lied to essentially everybody else on the cast about who he was really close with. Because I feel like the Billy situation and Lennon situation, those, I felt like those were kind of dirty, just from my perspective. But really, to see Billy go home over Minor, with Denson with me finding out on live night, had I put Billy up as my renom, Minor would have gone home.
Yeah.
That was surprising to me, because then he flip-flopped 2 rounds later. That doesn't make sense. So that is one of my biggest things, is I feel like Denson said things and then kind of backtracked on them. So I just want to hear what was kind of honest with him as well. Where did his true loyalties lie and stuff like that? I think they're all deserving, though. I'll be honest. I'm not going to be upset if any of them win. Sorry.
Yeah, to your point about comp wins, I mean, I do agree that comp wins don't matter on the surface, but I think in Minor's position, somebody who I think at a certain point all of us wanted out, and we were at a point where it's yeah, Minor's really starting to win things, we got to get him out at some point, and he just kept winning and it couldn't happen. That is impressive, and he definitely was safe for a majority of the season, because
also, Kevin, in the same vein, let's go back to the game that you hosted. I was safe for the entirety of Merge. People wanted me out from the final 8. I didn't deserve to win because of the fact that I was safe. I don't think winning comps matters.
No, it's more what you do with them.
Exactly, and I don't think he did much. He didn't do that much, but he got me out, which wasn't really a big move. He didn't really do much at all, really, with the comps he had won.
I guess the only thing that I would just for my own personal thing, is if Jeff was telling Minor, if Jeff was saying that he was okay to be voted out, why he just, if me and Jeff were gonna go out back to back, why, if Jeff was messaging Minor saying, are you sure you want to vote out Morgan here, keep Morgan? I would just want to know what was the, if me and Jeff were back to back, then what did it, because it rubbed me the wrong way, because when we were talking,
that was Nick. Sorry, that was Nick.
Nick changed
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, so what did Nick say? What I want to know is what was what transpired, what was said to really set that in motion. And then I'm thinking, it's I was thinking before you got voted out, I was okay, maybe they want to go to the end with Jeff because both of them don't want to go with Denson. So it makes sense to get me out, because I would have kept Denson over that. It's just one person that was in Denson's favor where you weren't really on Denson's side. But
Yeah.
then but because you were voted out next, that negates that whole thought process of like, oh, like they wanted to secure that. So
It's amazing how a game of categories decided the outcome of this game.
They did.
categories.
Yeah, the one the POV you won, and you got Jeff off the block, or you didn't use the POV, something like that.
Honestly,
Oh, the Family Feud one, yeah.
honestly, what transpired in this game is live night and me being so fucking emotional and not thinking rationally, but it's okay. I'm already losing sleep over it, so I'll get through it by myself.
Kevin stays at that point. Miner's gone. Alex, or not Alex. Nick loses a ton of agency.
Yeah.
And this is a completely different final three.
I get it.
It does change a lot, but
game.
there's always the woulda, shoulda, couldas, and
Yeah.
we just have to focus on, what happened.
Yeah.
But it's been a fun game.
Oh, it has.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's
This
just the
cast
way
was
I had
bomb.
a swap a vote, and I just never got.
You know,
I know.
actually, I am curious. Are they allowed to say what themes the shows they had when we were gone? Prod?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you
That
if
up
I.
after the recording.
Oh, okay, cool.
I think it's on the YouTube.
Yeah, they're all on the YouTube. I can look up and tell you all all of the stuff, but we will oh my god, Cookie, be revealing the twists of the You Pick Live that weren't chosen at the finale reunion and all that. So
Finally get to see what Wild Thornberries would have been.
Anyways, I'm gonna head to bed, guys, but I will.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like we've
guys.
kind of talked out a good amount of everything. If anybody has any last minute things they want to say, obviously I would ask like what questions you want to ask, but we're still short one juror and we have some people that couldn't join us tonight, so be sure to discuss that within your jury chat. But unless anybody else has anything they want to add before we close up, it seems like this has been a pretty productive discussion about all three of them.
With the best five from the chat from the game.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna vote for whoever buys me a Popeyes.
I will do that immediately. You just write in my name at the final vote.
Thanks for saying that we were being productive.
If anyone beats me in Pokemon Showdown, they get my vote.
Where do we do that?
So I'll be getting Joe's vote.
Yeah, Jacob gets my vote.
if we're all wrapped up, I'm gonna end the recording here if that's okay with everybody. Last chance to say things.
Night, guys.
Night, Sam.
Good night.